So you're backstage. Maybe you're ready to do your first piano recital. Maybe you're getting ready for that speech that you've been preparing for, and you peek across the curtains if you're on a theater stage and you see a bunch of heads, and on those heads there's eyes, and those eyes are staring at you or staring at the stage, about to stare at you, and your palms start getting sweaty and your heart starts racing and your mind's going to a million thoughts per second, and you don't even know what's about to happen. You're having an outer body experience. Then they say your name, or the first note drops of the piece that you're about to perform, or the lights go down, you walk out onto the platform and the lights suddenly come up. Maybe that click track starts and you're off to the races. How to overcome stage fright. This video is for any of you who have dealt with this, and if you're watching this, whether you want to admit it or not, you've dealt with it from one time or another. Jason Damico here, welcome to my channel, and so happy that you are here. And that picture that I just kind of painted for you within a minute or two happens to me every time I hit the stage. Doesn't matter if I'm at a coffee shop, little open mic, or playing to thousands of people, or anything in between those two scenarios. I've been a performer for over 20 years and professionally for over 20 years, and have hit the stage at this point thousands of times in my career or in the film world, being on a film set hundreds of times in my career. And I have good news and bad news for you, but the good news ultimately overcomes the bad, which is you can overcome your stage fright. But this is a lifelong journey, and this is just something that you're always going to feel. And I'm here to show you how to overcome your stage fright. And I've got a lot of tips for you. So this isn't your 5 to 10 minute video. This is a real psychological kind of deep dive. And I have my notes over here on some good old fashioned 8.5 by 11. I think it's 8.5 by 11. With over a dozen ideas for you and practical tips and exercises that you can do and utilize. But I want to start with first saying that having nerves is good, but being controlled by your nerves is bad. Having nerves is good, being controlled by your nerves is bad. Now, why is this? And a lot of you have probably heard this saying before, that if you're nervous, you care. I would say that that's true. But you have to have a balance between caring and not caring that much. And if you follow Kevin Trudeau, I'm a big fan of Kevin Trudeau's work. Herb Cohen, I think, was his mentor that told him that little tidbit there. In negotiations and in life, you have to care, but not that much. It's the same thing when it comes to performing. So let me help you kind of find this balance. And it all starts with your mindset. How are you thinking about your performance? Why are you going on stage? Why are people there to see you? What's your ultimate goal? And everything really starts with mindset shift. And I'm going to break this down in really no particular order. I just have a few bullet points here on mindset that I want to challenge you to think about internally. Setting reasonable expectations. When I hit the stage, and even before I do, after years of doing this, know from experience that 80 to 90% is going to land. The other 10 to 20% is not going to be as good as it is in this room. And that's just kind of the reality. That's the reality, at least for me. That's what I've seen for myself. Now, you might have a higher success rate, or someone else may have a higher success rate or a lower success rate, but I'm just telling you from my experience that 80 to 90% of what I've prepared is going to come out great. But the other 10 to 20%, there's going to be that thing where it's like, that could have been a little bit cleaner. That could have been a little bit better. But it's funny because when you look back on tapes, your real-time experience tends to be a little distorted from what happens. And you'll be shocked when you listen to something back, it actually wasn't that bad. Because there's kind of this time elasticity when you're on stage. Things can speed up, things can slow down, things can feel, because you're working at an adrenaline rate that's different than just your average everyday life speed. So it's something to think about with setting reasonable expectations. Hit the stage expecting for it not to be perfect. You got to take the pressure off yourself. And that's all with mindset. That starts with how you're approaching your performance or your event. Prepare, prepare, prepare. I have the word 3 times on this bullet point. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Because in preparation, you gain confidence. In preparation, you gain unconscious competency. In other words, it's going to come automatically. You're going to be able to hit the stage, play your part, sing your part, give your speech, give your performance, unconsciously competent, which means letting go. You have to have the ability to let go, which goes into some other it's going to make sense here with a few exercises that I'm going to give you on how to do that. But as soon as you become tense, you lose your connectivity to your body. Once you lose your connectivity to your body, anything can happen. And flight and fight response is a normal thing if you want to think of it from an evolutionary standpoint. Me personally, I'm a micro-evolutionist theorist. I'm a creationalist. I believe in God. I believe in a creator. I do believe there are some micro-evolutions that have occurred. You can see it with birds' beaks. You can see it in all these other elements that we see in life. Adaptation. But rock to animal, monkey to man, I don't think so. But that's for another video. That's for another debate. But you need to prepare. You need to prepare and practice perfectly, because perfect practice makes perfect. But I kind of agree with that, but I don't, because perfect is an elusive, unobtainable thing. Perfect things happen when you're not trying to make them perfect. And that's something to really, really consider. Let that kind of marinate with you. Savor when the stars align, because it's a rarity. Be adaptable and flexible to constantly changing environments. Really, really cool point. Savor when the stars align. I'll tell you that out of the hundreds, if not thousands of performances that I've Game the last decade, 2 decades, easily 10% of them really went profoundly well, in my mind. The other 90%, there's just gonna be that thing. Again, kind of like we talked about earlier. You're singing. You can't hear yourself that well in the monitor like you did in the sound check. There's something howling at you from one of the side fills. Your inner ear monitor is, again, the mix isn't the same. There's people in the room after the sound check. It doesn't sound the same. Maybe it's a little bit duller than the sound check. You know, you forget a lyric, whatever. It happens, and it's all part of it. It's very, very rare in this industry of performance, or just in if you are in a profession of performing, where it's all going to come together. I think of Ben Hogan, one of the best golfers of all time, saying that in a round of golf with over, on an average, if you're a pro golfer, you're going to be probably averaging around 70 strokes per round. Only 2 of those 70 strokes for Ben Hogan were quote unquote perfect, or exactly lined up the way that they needed to be lined up. Everything else was within error. I think of Tiger Woods, another great example. One of my favorite quotes for performance. Tiger says, it doesn't matter how good your good is. What matters is how good your bad is. We can stop the video right there. That is key. So key. And that's why your preparation is going to set you apart from everyone else who doesn't put in the reps and doesn't put in the time to prepare, because you're preparing and bringing up your threshold of bad to make it as good as possible. So then that fluctuation becomes narrower and narrower and narrower, and that's why you're consistent. Because your bad isn't horrible anymore. Your bad's like, it's pretty good. That's the whole point. And we talked about being adaptable. That comes to what room are you in? Are you speaking to 500 people? And I'm keeping this video as general as possible. Are you speaking to 5 people? Are you speaking to 500 people? Your voice is going to sound different in the room. The room's going to feel different. You're going to be playing to a different audience every single night. Even if you're doing the same show, if you're in musical theater, maybe you're a broadcaster, maybe you're a journalist, that script is going to be a little bit different every night. If you're doing musical theater, it's the same show, the same lines, but it's never going to be 100% the same. And that's actually something to enjoy and savor in itself, is because you're live, baby. That's what adds the excitement. A couple of quick breathing exercises for you. There might actually only be one that I have. I'll give you a couple. One that comes to mind was, I had a high school choir teacher named Marilyn Shugart, Miss Shugart. Shout out to Miss Shugart if you're watching this. And she would have us lie down on the floor and put a couple of our books from other courses, like, a big fat math book or something, and put it on our abdomens while laying on the floor to train us how to breathe from our diaphragm. And I'll probably tell you during this video, I've probably been breathing from my shoulders. My posture is not that great. It kind of is what it is, right? I'm sitting on this stool. It's probably a better seat to sit on. But having that ability, and if you're a vocalist, you've got 50, 60, 70% of singing, speaking, is breathing. And being able to breathe deep from your belly and from your diaphragm and be able to expel that energy. But as far as nerves go, a specific exercise to do in the moment right before you hit the stage, which is, I believe, a Navy SEAL breathing exercise. I call it the 4-4-4 method, which is simply you have a good posture. You breathe in for 4 through your nose. Hold for 4. And then out for 4 through your mouth. Repeat. Two more times. And typically I'll do that at least 4 times. Even just doing it twice, I feel like really more present. I feel like there's more oxygen hitting my brain, and maybe you can even sense there's like a shift. My body, my voice is lowered a little bit. Everything's a little bit more settled. Breathing. It is essential. It gets oxygen to your brain. It gets oxygen to your extremities and sometimes your hands, right? Guitarist, piano, I mean, all the things, right? As a guitar player myself. It's funny. If I'm singing, it's easier for me sometimes to play harder guitar parts because I'm not thinking about it as much and it's getting more oxygen into my body. And my fingers feel warmer. It's something to think about. But that breathing exercise will really help you. And I recommend doing it, settling yourself for a couple minutes before you go on the stage. Messing up on purpose during rehearsal and your practice. Why not? I do it on purpose sometimes just to create safety for myself, to know that, okay, if I hit this bad note here or this bad note, it's not the end of the world. Do it for fun sometimes. Sometimes it's, if you're doing it in an improv setting, I'd say stay away from it if you're playing Bach. But if you're doing if you're in an improv setting, have at it. That's all part of it, is exploring and taking creative risks. But don't be afraid to make mistakes that's the time to do it. That's the time to get all the jitters out. That's the time to have fun with it. And then it will desensitize you to making mistakes. It's just all part of the process. This is really interesting. In extremely high performance moments, create bailouts or alternate routes to get you to a successful end result. I'll tell you this story real quick. I was playing a Trans-Siberian Orchestra piece at church, and I think it was Carol of the Bells, and it was a solo piece. The band is all plodding away. It's a big rock number. But the thing that was really nerve-wracking to me, it wasn't so much that it was this incredible guitar piece that's very, advanced to play. There's a lot of speed. There's a lot of finesse. There's a lot of nuances in there, and I'll leave the link wherever so you can check it out or down in the description box below. It's this 3-minute ripping, beautiful guitar solo, and I was honored to be asked to play it. But what was really nerve-wracking was this is how the Christmas services started. Dry. Cold. So I had to be warm for at least, 30, 45 minutes and in the groove and really into it to get the most out of that performance. Hey guys, I'm going through the footage, and during the bailout part, I kind of went into this whole other tangent, which was really good stuff and good material for you to chew on. But in more specificity to the bailout section and what that kind of means for me, and I'll share with you, you can kind of play with it, is if there's a section that's really difficult in a piece, or maybe you're memorizing a long monologue for some sort of acting performance or movie set that you've got coming up, movie shoot, you have, after you've done your preparation with it, you kind of play with it and just think in chunks of, okay, well, if I can't play this run perfectly the night of, and maybe I know that it's coming up and my hands just aren't 100% there, if you can, if the piece or the performance allows for it, you just have other alternative paths to a successful, similar outcome than exactly playing note for note what is required. And that's kind of paradoxical, and I'm kind of contradicting myself because I use the word required. But in other words, you can kind of make it your own. You still want to serve whatever you're doing with integrity, and you want to have integrity for the piece. But for example, if you watch certain videos of maybe these high tenors performing, they're not going to be hitting the notes that they typically hit 100% of the time. Nobody bats 1,000 out of 1,000. I mean, to be a pro baseball player, you're a phenomenal batting average is like 350 out of 1,000. They're hitting the ball 1/3 of the time. So we want to do better than that. But in terms of just having bailouts for yourself on the Trans-Siberian Orchestra piece specifically, there was one riff that was at the time very challenging for me, but I came up with a slightly altered version of it that still had musical integrity and worked very well. And it was just for a couple of seconds, just a couple of seconds of this crazy arpeggio that happens. And I did it in my own way, but it was still 80-90% of what the original guitarist did. And that's kind of the nature of what I'm getting at here, is just being true to what you're doing, but allowing a little bit of that flex in the process. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's get back to the main section of the video. And I'll talk about this for a second. Getting past the first 5 minutes, if you're a musician or a singer, getting past that first 5 minutes is pivotal. Because your body settles, you'll feel that. Everything just kind of shifts. Once you get past that first song, maybe address the audience, maybe, just say a quick little word, things kind of ease up. But we didn't have that here. This was, you're ripping sextuplets or, fast triplets real quick. So I had to already kind of be there within 20, 30 seconds and be settled. And that comes with engagement. That comes with actually, and I have this as another bullet point, looking your audience in the eye. A lot of people will talk about, play to different corners of the room. And you can do that. That is something you can do. But I'll tell you that if you connect, and I've found this to be true, if you connect with just one person, just find that one person, maybe that one lady in the front row, maybe that one gentleman 3 rows back who's really just enjoying the experience and is wanting you to succeed. Focus in on that one person for a couple of seconds. Get that energy from them, because that's going to help you transfer and make your performance even better. And it's going to lighten you up because you're realizing, you know what, hey, they're for me. My audience is for me. That's another thing. Going kind of out of order here, but positive affirmations. How are you talking to yourself? Big one. How are you talking to yourself before you go on stage? Are you dreading it? Are you not present? Or are you speaking life into what you're doing? This is going to be a great performance. No matter what happens, this is going to be great. Everything's going great. No matter what happens, it's all good. And we'll get to that. That's kind of a point at the end. We kind of talked about this. Develop a pregame exercise, warm-up routine that works for you. We were talking about golf earlier. For those of you that play golf, if you like to play golf, you probably know about a pre-shot routine, which essentially entails every time before you take a shot, you have a pre-shot routine that works for you. About a 20 to 30 second window before you take that shot, where you do your thinking. You think about your tempo. You think about your swing. You think about, okay, do I want to hit a small fade? A little baby fade? Do I want to hit a small draw? Do I want to really hook it? Do I want to really slice it? What am I trying to do here? What about the putt? You know, three-footer putt. You go through your putting strokes. You got your line. As soon as you get right behind that ball, all that's got to go out the window, because you've got to allow your subconscious mind to do what it's going to do best when you get out of your own way. And I'm going to say that again. You have to release and allow yourself to get out of your own way. One of my biggest mentors still to this day, and fellow artistic collaborators, Hayden Wayne. If you're watching this video, Hayden, you know who you are. Shout out, brother. Love you. He would always tell me as a teenager, get out of your head. Get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. Because that release muscle will allow you to perform at your highest peak. Again, that unconscious competency, whatever it is, playing piano, playing drums, playing guitar, speaking, acting, dancing, sales, business, whatever. It all applies. Dwell on past successes. You know, if you haven't performed before, it's a little bit more difficult, but, you know, dwell on past successes. If you have performed before, maybe you've performed a dozen times, maybe you've performed 1,200 times. Think about those past successes before you go on stage. If you haven't performed before, I encourage you to do so. But even beyond that, throw a couple of teddy bears on the couch, perform for them. Perform for your neighbor. You know, videotape. Perform for yourself. Go videotape. Go see how it is. Watch the tape back. That'll give you confidence. Because everybody's got a cell phone. And we live in such a world now where everything is so, you know, center-based, internally based, you know, me, which it's really not about me. It's about you, the viewer, you know. But look, we got 2 cameras here, got lights, right? Check my hair before came on camera. So, I mean, again, it's a paradox. But ultimately, it's about what you're putting out into the world. So, before you can get to that point, though, you got to do it for yourself. You got to love what you're doing for you. And that's going to translate to others. Another thing you can think of doing is moving and grooving, if you're a musician especially. And again, public speaking, I'm trying to keep this as general as possible. Move, you know, use your body not only to enhance your performance and your presence and engagement, use it as a dissipation tool. Because, you know, getting in that pocket and moving around, you're going to help everybody else get into that vibe and go with you on that journey. Again, if it's Bach, if it's Mozart, whatever, it's a little bit more cerebral. But come on, man, touch is touch. And you watch these incredible, mind-blowing pianists, their touch and their movement and they're so relaxed but so pinpoint accurate. It's just incredible to watch. I think Ling Ling is the guy's name. Unbelievable what this guy does and the notes that come out of him, yet he looks like he could be in a sauna. It's crazy, you know? But that's all part of it. That's all part of it. Learning how to relax into and find the groove. And it's going to help dissipate that nervous energy. And this is a really, really cool bonus tip for you. When in the moment, visualize yourself playing, speaking, or performing in your most comfortable environment. If I'm in the middle of like that TSO solo, I actually did this during those performances. We had 3 nights. That Christmas service ran for 3 nights, a couple of years, 3 years ago. And I remember there were certain points where about 30 seconds in, I try to catch it immediately by the first note. When I kind of closed my eyes for a millisecond, I would picture myself in this room rehearsing and nailing it here in this room, and it just would kind of take that edge off. You know, my drum teacher for years, Merritt Partridge, I've talked about Merritt many times on this channel. He always told me, you've got to be able to practice it and perfect it in the practice room. Then you can perfect it in the teaching room with me, Merritt, me watching you. Then you can perfect it with others watching you in a different environment on stage. But I always go back to that mindset of, I'm in front of 1,200 people watching me do this, and it's just me with the spotlight doing this thing for 3 minutes, and it's really nerve-wracking, but you know what? It's just me lounging and playing guitar, watching Netflix, right? I'm just whatever. Watching whatever show, going through my scale, going through my run. It's all good. And that's something that you can really use as a tool. I encourage you to try that. Just kind of settle in, think about a place that's really relaxing for you, or a place that you're so comfortable in. For me, it's my studio, or the lounge across the hall, or even my bedroom. Just playing, doing my thing at 2 a.m, doing my thing. There's no difference. Different room, different people. Sure, big spotlight, 1,200 people there, but at the end of the day, it's the mind game. You close your eyes or you just visualize yourself, you're right back in your room. And just keep doing that. If it doesn't stick the first time, keep doing it. I promise you, it'll start translating. So with all that said, and as we attempt to land the plane here, at the end of the day, it's all going to be okay. At the end of the day, it's all going to be okay. I said this a little bit earlier in the video. Performing in the arts, giving a speech, communicating, engaging, sharing. It's not brain surgery. It's not rocket science. Sure, it takes tens of thousands of hours to perfect your craft. But it's going to be okay if you make a mistake. It's going to be okay. I got a couple of books that I want to share with you that have really helped me, and I may make some videos on these in more depth. One of them is Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. Dr. Daniel Amen is the author. Incredible book. I actually just finished reading this. And I believe in this book, he said this quote. Because I heard this recently, and I really think it did come from this book. If I'm misquoting it, I apologize, but I really believe that this is from his book. So amazing. At 20, all you think about and care about is what others think of you. By 40, you don't care about what people think. I'm 31, so I'm starting to get, I get what he's saying. I get it. I care a lot less now at 31 than I care at 21. Lot easier space to be in now for me in my early 30s than in my early 20s. And by 60, you realize people weren't really thinking about you at all. That's why it's going to be okay. Because whatever happens, it really just, it just doesn't matter. I had another great teacher of mine, Allison Lawrence. Shout out to Allison. She taught Clay Aiken and a few others back in the day. She was my vocal teacher when I was really young. And she had this old saying, and she'd say, if you don't puke, piss, or poop on yourself, you had a great performance. And there's some real fun, there's some real comedy in that. And it is true. And even, you know what, even if you do, it's like, it just is what it is. It just is what it is. But it's all going to be okay. And nobody really cares. Everybody's thinking about, you know, their back hurts in the seat. Oh, this is amazing. And then their phone goes off, or, you know, I wish that I got that first parking spot. Everybody's in their own headspace. Nobody really cares at the end of the day, except for they want to enjoy the experience. They want to have a good time. The bigger deal you make out of your flubs, they're going to follow along with you. So you've got to be definitive and you've got to lead. So if you're leading and everything's okay, because you're leading, then it's all going to be okay. It's a mirrored relationship. Be the thermostat that sets the temperature. Don't be the thermometer. And again, enjoy it. Have fun. Because it'll be over before you know it. It'll be over before you know it, and it's very, very true. I've had so many, countless performances that are minimum of 2 to 3 hours. Gone. You know, maybe there's a break or two. That first hour is like, I mean, for the most part, some of them drag, some of them do, but for the most part, it goes by so quick. So quick. So just be intentional with your presence. I wrote down, I forgot to talk about this. Meditate. Another great tool with your intention for presence. Meditate. Set the timer for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, hour. I mean, if you want to go crazy, I've done some of those meditations and they're pretty insane. I like starting out. I like 5 to 10 minutes to start out. 10 minutes can, you know, if you're new to meditating, 10 minutes can be a little much. But try 3, try 5, try 7. And a lot of people become discouraged when meditation becomes this thing of, oh, I shouldn't be thinking about anything. That's not what meditation is. Meditation is intentionally setting time. I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now for 30 seconds for you. That feels like about 25, 30 seconds. It's amazing. It's amazing what it does. Look, shifted me down again. Got goosebumps. Just, I'm telling you, it's key. It shifts the tone and the energy. So you're able to, it laser sharps your focus. You do this for 3 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, and I'll be honest with you, I've gotten off of my meditation routine because I've had so much going on, but this, just doing that 30 seconds brought me back to it. I'm going to do it after this video. It brings everything in. You're aware of your thoughts, but you're just choosing not to engage in them. You're observing. You're detached from your thoughts. You are not your thoughts, unless you want to be. I only want to be my good thoughts. You should only want to be your good thoughts. Going back to the application to being on stage, the meditation practice is all pregame and preparation for your success on stage. Because you're training your body even on a mindful level broadly, but even so quantumly, cellularly, down to the smallest quantifiable element, fiber of your being, that, oh, we're in charge. We're in charge of what's happening here. I am taking chemical control over my body, and I'm telling my body how to feel in the moment. And that happens through exposures. I had to fly to Phoenix a few years ago, and it had been a while since I've been on a plane. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was petrified. I don't like heights. I'm just being totally honest with you. I don't like heights at all, for whatever reason. But before I got on the plane, about a week before, I started watching videos on YouTube from inside the cabin of folks with their iPhones taking little videos. And I kind of meditated on that. It's like, okay, that's what is to be expected. And I watched a few more videos. And then I visualized myself going in the plane and doing the same thing. And the first time I flew, since I was, fairly young, because when I was young, it's just, you're in a different headspace. You don't have all the thoughts that come with it. I was freaking out for the first minute during that takeoff, but I just kept going back to, I'm in control. Everything's going to be okay. Even, you know what? Even if I die on this plane crash, I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm going to be in glory. Right? Totally detached. Totally, it is what it is. Right? Now, back to main part of the video. Guys, I'm just free-flowing here. I'm channeling for you. I'm just channeling. Somebody needs to hear this stuff. If it's you, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I really want, I'm just giving you guys a whole bunch of information. You take what you like and use it. There's got to be something here that's useful for you. Because it's all related. Meditating, getting that 3 to 5 minutes in, maybe expanding on it. Don't make it a chore. Want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But try it. Just try it. And see how the present shifts. How it relates to your performance. Take smart chances. Take smart chances. Give yourself permission to just take chances on stage. If you want to try something, and be smart. Again, smart chances. If you want to try something, You want to do that extra chorus. You want to go out into the audience and sing with them. You want to bring somebody up on stage for a demonstration. Try it out. Try it out. We talked about this, get your reps in, multiple exposures and experiences. We talked about Dr. Amen. Lastly, some other literature that'll help you. I may make a whole other video on this. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, totally changed my life. I would highly recommend it. There's also Enthusiasm Makes the Difference, and You Can If You Think You Can. I would highly recommend any of those books, including Dr. Amen's Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. There's a lot of great nuggets of gold in all those books. Dr. Amen's really talks more about neurochemically because he is a brain doctor, psychiatrist, and really dialed in on those idiosyncrasies. But Norman Vincent Peale, really from a spiritual standpoint, you're going to get some really great stuff out of those. Closing remarks. You're bigger than anxiety. You're bigger than fear. And notice I didn't say your anxiety or your fear, because we've got to stop attaching these emotions and these negative vibrations to ourselves. Right? You're bigger than anxiety. You're bigger than fear. You're bigger than fill in the blank. And these are some tools on how to help you overcome your stage fright. Stage fright. See? 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 I got to even, it's a daily walk. Choose ye this day whom you're going to serve. How you overcome stage fright. Jason Damico here. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I think 80% of my viewers are currently not subscribed. Thank you sincerely if you have recently subscribed and if you just subscribed. We hit over 1,000 subscribers a few weeks ago, and now we're past 1,100. So really appreciate you for being here. I really hope that this video blessed you and helped you on your journey with performing. Go kick ass, have a great performance. Let me know how it went. Leave a comment down below on your thoughts, your experiences, what resonated with you. And as they say in theater, go break a leg. See you on the next video. Peace.